My name is Joe De La Cruz. I'll be going over the injury and fact requirements, court decisions, and obligations. A little overview is the increasing frequency of data breaches and growing legal responses. The objective of this presentation is to understand injury and fact requirements, why courts grant standings, and the obligations of entities following the breach. So, a definition of injury in fact is a concrete injury that is factual or immediate, not a hypothetical. An example would be Claridge versus Rocky. Rocky stored unencrypted user data which ended up being breached. The plaintiff alleged harm due to potential future misuse of the data, which would be identity theft. The court recognized the future harm and it was sufficient for injury in fact, even if no actual misuse had occurred yet. The key takeaway is the potential for future harm can meet injury and fact requirements under certain circumstances. The legal criteria for injury in fact is that the injury must specifically affect the individual bringing the suit, not a generalized grievance shared by a large group. For example, leading to identity theft, such as the Rocky case. Standing in data breach cases. Why some courts find standing. Immediate threat or harm. Courts recognize that misuse of stolen data is a probable and immediate threat, as seen in Krotner versus Starbucks. In order for this to take place, they have to have substantial evidence, and that means proof of data, documentation that personal data was exposed, such as notification from the breach company. So in order to prevent this, you gotta make sure that you have things in place such as credit monitoring or identity theft. An example would be Yahoo when they got their data breach. Multiple data breaches exposed billions of user accounts. The courts found that the increased risk of identity theft and financial fraud provided sufficient grounds for standing. This is significant because it shows how large-scale breaches can establish standing through the risk of future harm. Another example, touching back on Krotner versus Starbucks, the laptop was stolen and it contained unencrypted employee data, and there was millions of employees of information that was on there, and that also led to the future risk of identity theft, and so that constituted injury in fact. When it comes to private companies, they're obligated to go ahead and let you know if there was any data breaches and what data has been breached and the steps that they're going to take to prevent this from happening again in the future, as well as solving the current data breach. When it comes to obligations of government agencies, it's always important that they're transparent. They disclose breaches and their impacts in a timely manner. Not only that, but they also have to provide a clear and comprehensive information about the data breach and its implications, along with who it has affected. In order to prevent this from happening, it's mandatory that they have regulatory oversight. This enforcement ensures compliance with data protection laws through audits and penalties. Legal and regulatory frameworks. One example would be General Data Protection Regulation, breach notifications within 72 hours, that's required, penalties for noncompliance, and data protection principles. The impact of this is because significant fines for violations and a strong emphasis on consumer rights, making sure that the consumers are well protected and they know what's going on with this. The consumers also have the right to know about data collection, right to delete data, and right to opt out of data cells. So in conclusion, the exploration of the legal implementations along with the possible solutions related to data breaches has highlighted several critical aspects. This presentation touched on the injury in fact requirement and how courts determine if plaintiffs have suffered an injury that justifies standing and sue. Not only that, the presentation also highlighted the significant court decisions that have shaped the legal landscape, highlighting the obligations of not only private companies but government agencies as well in order to protect the data, along with the consequences if they fail to do so. As this presentation comes to an end, it's important to remember that protecting personal data is not about preventing financial loss. It's also about preserving the integrity of our digital society. As technology evolves, so must our commitment ensuring that laws keep pace with these advancements, protecting our rights to freedoms in the digital age. My reference page, My name is Joe De La Cruz, and that was my presentation.